G'day folks, got another little project on the go here. I'm out here in the outdoor-indoor kitchen barbecue area, which is pretty much still in hiatus. We did get the concrete slab done before Christmas, which I filmed, but there wasn't enough in that to to make a video. So it'll be included in a future video. My brother's doing a lot of work elsewhere around the house, just doing different paths and stuff like that. And so this is kind of a little bit on the back burner, which is a bit of a shame. It'd be good to continue on with it and get it finished. But I'm sure we'll get back to it eventually. However, in the meantime, I'm decided we'd make up the bar for in here. We're going to follow a tried and true method. We're taking pellets and turning them into something else. We're just going to use them for the base. We've got an old standard timber tabletop here, which will become our bench top or our bar top. It will need a full sandback, clean up, and just give it a couple of coats of varnish or something like that. Nothing special. We're not making anything special here. It's just going to be a standard old bar. Now I know most people, pretty much every bar you see is pretty much lined with corrugated iron around the base, which we've got plenty of, so we could just go that. But we also have some tongue and groove boards, just old flooring tongue and groove boards, which I love a timber look. And so we'll probably play around with a couple of ideas, whether we do horizontal boards or vertical, maybe a mix of both metal and timber. We'll see. We'll come up with something. So that's all I'm doing here today, or over the next however many days. Just putting this bar together. We may put it on wheels as well, just so we can move it around. So this base is just a C-shaped. It will be positioned at the bartender side flush, with that side leaving a little bit of an overhang, kind of like a breakfast bar. And we can put a couple of stools on the other side. Underneath there'll be plenty of room to throw in a little bar fridge and maybe a cupboard beside that as well, just to hold certain supplies. So I'm going to continue on. I've got one more side to make for my C-shaped frame, and then we'll try and square that up as best we can. Throw the tabletop on, position, and I'll probably just come up from underneath with the right length of screws and screw directly into the tabletop without piercing the surface. And just hold it down that way, I think. Be easy to take apart if you ever wanted to. It's another found object project. I would say 100% this time. Anything we find around the property is what will be used to make the whole thing. Doesn't take a lot. Pellets, something to line the base with. Clean up the tabletop, which has been hanging around here for a while, which is what I mostly like to do. Build something or make something out of just found objects around the property. Starting to run out of stuff though. Alrighty, let's do some more. here's the beauty of using found objects to build something, especially found objects that have been in the weather for years. Everything is twisted and warped. As you can see, we've got what looks like some pallets slapped together as a base, which is exactly what it is. This pallet twists inwards and on an angle. And so when I screwed the two sides to it, of which one of those sides is also twisted, nothing was sitting level or perfect or anything like that. So we did our best to bring it in and level it, square it, but it's a little bit out everywhere. And then we just brought the tabletop over, and I realised the thickness of this tabletop is not too thick, so I've decided I'm just going to screw down through it, recess the screws, and I'll just fill those with putty as I prepare the top. The tabletop itself also does a twist like that. It's warped, and so we found the level side and put our first screw in, and not far off level. Not far off level, and so we have to put little shim packers to basically screw it down in this position. Now we can hide all of that with our cladding. So we just went for an even split either side, either end, and we made sure we had the same overhang either end this way. Around the back here doesn't matter. Now we still can, depending on what kind of bar fridge you buy. We've got plenty of room to fit a bar fridge. On average they're around about 850 millimeters, or 845, some are 865. We've got 880 from our piece of timber here to the base of this. So in fact we've got 870. Pretty sure we'll find a bar fridge to fit in there. So we're getting there. What we're going to do now is just I'll just do 4 screws to attach this tabletop. I'll clean this up last. We'll go around and do the cladding once we decide what that's going to be. So this is one look that we've come up with. We're basically using flooring, tongue and groove, as you can see. And this is the usual way you would apply this. Obviously we're not using it on the floor, we're using it on the side of the bar. We do have the bar tipped over on the side at the moment, and this is the front of the bar. So once all that's together, you get your pretty much your floorboard look on the side. However, if I turn all this around upside down, there's a feature to this flooring. This is the underside of the flooring, and obviously it's got this recessed area under here, which is an obvious for airflow underneath the floor to keep it dry. But in a totally different application, using on the side of a bar, I think once stained up, this could actually be a highlighted feature, these grooves within the base of this board. You see these ever so slight grooves. Probably 1 to 2 millimeter depth. As I said, designed for airflow underneath the floor to keep the timber dry. And of course it is a little bit rougher on the underside of this timber. I could do a really quick sand of the top surfaces, but even leaving it rough and just staining it as is, I think they'll create a pretty decent feature. A bit subtle, but just to make it stand out just a little bit. Well, Grant liked the idea anyway, so that's what we're going with. I think we're going to not bother with any metal. Everyone does metal. Let's stick with a nice timber finish, varnished up, it'll look great. I have to apologise for this wind noise that most of this filming is probably picking up, even though I've got the you know, the sock on there and everything. We've just had 2 months of easterlies, non-stop. The kind of wind that brings down trees, sometimes it just brings down branches. Most of the time it's absolutely annoying, especially if you want to go kayaking on the lake, and there's not much I can do about it. Alright, I've got a heap of sidings to cut up now out of spare hardwood, I believe it's hardwood, flooring. So that's the mock-up of the front of the bar, highlighting the back side of flooring. I may just give the raised surfaces a quick sand, make sure there's nothing rough on them, but not touch the middle, and just stain her up and see how she looks. There are a couple of fashionable bent timber openings, but they're very minor, but it's got to be rustic just like everything. And as far as fixing it, I was thinking about using my Paslode fixing gun, which just created a tiny little hole, but there's a bit of wobble to the boards, the fixing boards, and I just know that a screw holds so much better, so we might actually go for a coloured head screw, like black headed screws that even sit on the surface rather than recess them. We'll come up with something, but there we go. Starting to come together. Starting to look like a standard, generic man cave bar. And it's the end of the day. We'll continue with this tomorrow, where I hope this wind this crazy wind might one day stop. I'm going to plane this groove away, plane this side down, so this is the front left end, and with the side piece I'm going to have it match. We're going to have the side match like that, but we don't want the groove. So I'm going to plane the groove down, which will bring it, you know, a bit more this way, and just be a closed end. So we've decided to just go with 32mm button head black screws. It'll just be a subtle feature around the top, middle and the bottom. Little blackhead screws. Unbelievable summer we're having here in Victoria, Australia. Today was forecast to be 30 degrees Celsius, therefore warm. What is it? It's 11:30 AM. It's currently 20 degrees with a light rain, light sprinkle happening. They revised this forecast on the hour, I think. No one knows what's coming. So now it's 27 degrees apparently, the top. But it's cool and it's spitting a little bit of rain. Seriously, the most inconsistent summer that I can remember. Barely gets warm. It's more like a spring. It's like a late spring, which I like anyway. Okay, so now I'm just going to position my boards across the front here and chalk some lines, some nice even lines, and screw across the whole front.
Lift your head.
Load up another, bartender. Well, the construction is complete, folks. Still a bit more work to do, obviously. I have to sand back and prep this entire bench top, give it a couple of coats of varnish, and of course do the same for the three sides. That is one slapped together bar. Just as a cap finish on the two ends of the bartender side, just used some fence palings. Alright, all I need to do now is recreate a dive bar with some dingy atmospheric conditions. Maybe some soft playing country music in the background. A couple of bar brawls. Okay, now I just have to find some clear varnish. Hopefully we've got some. Save me having to go out and buy it. Bloody cars. So as you can see, I've already stained it. Just one coat, we've gone with a dark oak stain. So now it just needs, I'm going to do one coat of satin clear, see what that looks like. And if we want to shine it up a little bit more, we might do a gloss coat. It's dry now, so I can just throw on one more coat of a clear satin stain, varnish. And we'll see what that looks like. Now that's with one coat of clear satin varnish, and I've just applied a clear gloss varnish, one coat, and I'm thinking that's enough. Now I do have to obviously get all the front and the two sides, which are just going to be clear varnished. That timber's going to come up looking really good anyway, so that'll be the last thing to do. She is a hot one today, folks. It's going to be something like 34-35 degrees Celsius today. So I'm just going to do, the last thing I need to do on this bar is one or two coats of a clear varnish on the frame, the sides, front two sides, and a little bit on each back. I've just got to do a little bit of sanding and take away some chalk line pencil lines that I made, so that the screws look nice and in line. An hour before midday and right on cue, the wind comes back to us, but this time from the west. Oh well, let's get this done. We'll stand it back up and that'll be the complete bar. Had to turn the power on. Alright, let's sand this pencil away. are, folks, the world's simplest bar, made out of pellets. What else are you going to make it out of? And just an old kitchen tabletop. On the front and sides, I just went with 2 coats of clear varnish, 1 satin, and I just had enough of the gloss clear varnish to just go around and do 1 coat of a gloss, so it's got a tiny little bit of shine to it. And that's basically it. There are many ways you could dress this up, of course, and I've definitely had some ideas. I thought about a steel footrest running around the bottom, and also, well, you could go crazy. You could put some LED strip lighting underneath the tabletop or the bench top and make it really funky disco kind of thing. At best, I think we're just going to dress up something with the front, say a silhouette screw-on metal type of depiction of some kind. Maybe just a couple of little things to make it look good. But that's it. We are done. I think it cost $30 something. We bought a packet of screws, the black-headed screws, and I think we did buy a small tin of clear varnish. No, it was the oak stain. We bought a small tin of the oak stain for the top, of which we then just did a single coat of clear varnish on top of that. I hope this wind is really not interfering too much with my voice. Shocking, absolutely shocking. Okay folks, stay well, stay tuned. I have an epic project coming up, which I had alluded to a few videos back. I'll give you a little sneak preview. It'll be some time before I literally get started on it. I've got a lot of research to do to decide what it is exactly I want to build. So a ton of research and some educational material too to know how to go about doing this. But as I said, you've had a tiny little preview. And also, as I said once more, stay well. See you next time.